So I wanted to talk to you today about some of the plants that are thriving right now, widely available to many of us, which are helpful for the lungs and help us to breathe better. So I'm sitting here with some plantain, Plantago major this is, and this one's really thriving right here, and it was kind of calling to me, so I thought I'd speak about it a little bit. And I have made a video about plantain before, so you can check that out if you like, but specifically with regards to support for the lungs, I wanted to talk about plantain. The leaf is what we use as medicine, and it's really supportive in helping to pull out any stuff that's stuck in there that shouldn't be in there, any particulate. Like plantain, as I said in the other video, it's a drawing herb. It pulls out of the body basically like more or less anything that shouldn't be in there, especially through the skin, but also through the mucous membranes internally. And so you've got mucous membranes around your lungs, and if you're breathing in particulate or anything like that, you need to clear it out. The plantain will help to do that. It acts as a bit of an expectorant, but it's a soothing expectorant, so it won't make you it won't make an irritated cough. It will soothe those membranes, soften the clearance of the whatever stuff needs to come out. And meanwhile, when you've got irritated lung tissue, it's like probably a bit swollen and irritated. The plantain will help to heal that tissue, will help to strengthen it and give it more integrity. So it can be a really nice remedy, and it's very safe for anyone to consume. And you can recognize it by, this is the broadleaf plantain, very common. It's got these this ovate shaped leaf with, you see that the veins on the leaves are going, like they meet each other at the point at the top of the leaf, and they also meet each other at the base of the leaf. So they kind of form this structure where they form like an egg shape. They meet each other at the top and at the bottom. So then also you can tell that they stick out on the back. They're protruding on the back of the leaf. And when they start to flower, they make these flowering stalks that look like little snaky things coming up from the center. And they'll eventually make little white flowers, teeny tiny white flowers out of these little spikes, and then seeds. So the plantain is abundant. You find it growing on lawns. You'll find it growing out of the cracks and sidewalks. It really likes compacted soil wherever we walk, on the sides of trails and things too. So very easy to find, and you can make tea with these leaves. Just take, when you have a big leaf like this, you can take like one or two of them fresh per cup of tea, chop them up or crush them up and pour hot water and steep for 10 to 20 minutes and add some flavor. It doesn't really have any flavor, so you could add other herbs if you want, like mint for flavor, or just add some honey if you want to sweeten it, and that would also be good for your lungs. And drink that, and you could drink it throughout the day if you wanted. It's nice and cooling and anti-inflammatory. So definitely a really good one to consider. And then, behind me here, I have this mullen, and the mullen is a lovely fuzzy leafed herb. So it's got these big fuzzy leaves, hairs on the top and on the bottom, kind of light green in color. And you can see that this is in its second year, so it's growing a stalk that will create yellow flowers coming out of the top. In the first year, these leaves are just right on the ground, these big green leaves. These leaves can be harvested, the mullen leaves, and they can be made into a tea just like the plantain. They're a really good expectorant, and they're also a really nice lung tonic. And when I make cough syrups, I'll use mullen a lot, maybe also plantain. And so similar, just chop up the leaf, like one leaf gives you plenty of medicine, and pour hot water over it and let it steep 10 to 20 minutes. Drink it as a tea. It's really great for inflammation in the lungs. It's great also as an expectorant, pulling stuff out of the lungs, and it's great for restoring damaged lung tissue. Both of these, plantain and mullen, they're such good medicines in so many different ways, but we're just speaking specifically about the lungs here today. So then, I brought along a couple other herbs that weren't right in front of me, but were elsewhere in the garden to talk about on this theme. So this is thyme. And this one is English thyme, and I also have some French thyme growing. And really any kind of thyme that you have, whatever kind of thyme you got, you can use, like lemon thyme or like whatever kind of thyme that you have, is going to have the effect of, if you have any kind of infection going on in the lungs, it's really, really helpful for that. It's an expectorant, and it's what we call a stimulating expectorant. So if you've got stuff stuck in there and you can't quite cough it up, it will really help to stimulate clearing it out. It is, you can harvest it when it's in flower like this, but you can also harvest just when it's not in flower and just the leaves. But as long as it's got that thymy smell, that aroma, those volatile oils are a lot of the medicine. And so that's really what you need. And you know that it's going to be good medicine. So you can harvest it more or less like whenever you have it in the garden. Or if you live somewhere where it grows wild, you can harvest it wild, even better. And I put this into cough syrups, but also I make tea with it. And same thing as the others, steep for 10 to 20 minutes. If you're using it fresh, I would want maybe something like, this much, maybe a little bit less than this, but this much is fine. A little handful per cup of tea. And if it's dried and you have, because you can also use like dried thyme if you have it in your spice rack, just like 1 to 2 teaspoons of it per cup of water. Pour the hot water over it. Put a lid over it. Do it in a teapot with a lid, or in a cup with a lid, like a plate over it or something, to keep those volatile oils in so they don't evaporate out, because that's a lot of the medicine. And let it steep 10-20 minutes and you've got good tea. So again, you could combine all of these, plantain, mullein, and thyme, if you wanted. The plantain's going to soothe things more. The mullein is going to kind of get things going and soothe. The thyme is not as much of a soother. It's more of a like stimulator when things are really stuck, and it is really going to get at microbes if you've got infection going on in the lungs. Thyme really opens the airways too. It's one of my favorite herbs for really just getting a good breath in. So in cases of asthma, strong thyme tea can really help to get you breathing better, deeper breaths, and cough out anything that's in the way of that. And I've seen this be successful with in the situation of somebody just being outside, like in the garden, and they're starting to kind of have an asthma type attack, and they're trying to cough and they're trying to breathe, and just taking a few sprigs of thyme and just chewing on them and eating them. That can help open the airways. So thyme is tremendous medicine. Okay, and then the final one I wanted to talk about here, so this is mallow. I also have another video about mallow, so you can learn more about its many properties in that video, but here I'm just talking about the lung properties today. This is Malva neglecta, the wild mallow, and it is very, very soothing on irritated, inflamed tissues, and it works very nicely in the lungs for irritated coughs and like just if it's hard to get a breath because you've got inflammation and you've got irritation in there, it's going to really help to soothe that. It's really nice and soothing on your nerves too, so if it's making you kind of nervous and uncomfortable that it's harder to breathe, you can bring in the mallow and it will really, really help you to relax a little bit more, which can then help you to take a good deep breath. So you see that it's got these little flower leaves with the rounded edges, curly edges, little shell shaped, and then it's got these flowers, whitish pinkish, which just get you an up close there if I can. So like 5 petals coming out of the leaf axils, and usually growing like just trailing along the ground. It's a good garden weed, or like weed that you'll see growing also sometimes out of the sidewalks and stuff, but it trails along and it gets a little bit bushy, and it's quite common. So it's called Malva neglecta because Malva is mallow and neglecta meaning like we just neglect it because it's everywhere. So anyways, you can consider bringing this one in too, and you could make tea with it in the same way, steep 10 minutes, about this much per cup. If it's fresh, any of these, if they're dried, they just should be crushed up to about a teaspoon, 1 to 2 teaspoons per cup. steep 10 minutes and drink it down, and it will feel a little bit nice and soothing and slippery on your mouth and your throat. It's helpful for a sore throat too, and it should help you to get out what needs to get out so that you can get a better breath in. So there are lots of good respiratory herbs, but these are a few that I want to focus on today. I hope that everybody gets some good deep breaths in, and if you are looking for some herbs to work with, consider Plantain, Plantago major, Mullen, Verbascum, thaspus, Thyme, Thymus, any of the different species, and mallow, Malva neglecta. And I'm Tamara from Hawthorne Herbals. I wish you good breathing.